YouTube, welcome back. Um, I'd love to bring you guys another video about Trump, Trump's cabinet, dirty politicians, but um, I'm gonna start the timer for you guys. 10-minute video, okay? It's gonna happen for sure. I'm gonna stop this at 9:30. We can't talk about Trump, and there's a reason why we can't talk about Trump. I can't sit here and talk about Trump. Um, and have without having a guilty conscience. Um, because while I'd love to say that getting Trump out and putting someone like Biden in would solve all of our problems in America, it's not. There's a problem that's so much bigger than Trump, it eclipses him. And that's what has to be of importance right now in America. It has to be something that we pay attention to more than anything else. Trump is a diversion, if anything. Because Trump doesn't write laws. He has executive privilege, executive powers to change small things, but the presidential power in general is very limited by the government. And who is the government? The Trump isn't the government. The government are the men and women in Congress. Okay, Senate Republicans, Senate Democrats. You want to talk about libtards, you want to talk about, if you're Republican, you don't like this channel or whatever, you want to talk about the demon rats and how the Democrats are the problem. If America's wages have been stagnant for 40 years, about 40 years, okay? When you talk about the communist Bernie Sanders and AOC, all these people crazy talking about wealth taxes and Medicare for all, Bernie for one has been talking about it for 40 years. And the reason he was talking about it 40 years ago is because wages in this country were a problem 40 years ago. Okay, when you take into account inflation and cost of living and the difference between 40 years ago and now, nothing's changed. Americans are still making the exact same amount of money in the middle class and the lower classes, while the rich have been seeing profits every year, more and more income every year. And the reason for that is corporate greed. Okay? Lincoln said over 150 years ago, I tremble for the safety of my country. Okay, he wrote a letter in which he said, I tremble. This is a grown man saying, I tremble for the safety of my country. He said that corporations have been enthroned. That means they've been put in power. Okay, corporations have bought American politics. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican or progressive. If you don't know what a progressive is, you're well behind the curve at this moment in time. Okay, I'm not going to say that I was always ahead of the curve or I am ahead of the curve necessarily. There's people who beat the streets no more than me politically. But if you're a Democrat and you think the Republicans are the problem, or you're a Republican and you think Democrats are the problem, you've got it all wrong. Okay? If Democrats were the problem, I'll play devil's advocate, okay, right now. Democrats are the problem, okay? Let's say that. How long have Republicans been saying that Democrats are the problem? You have to understand that there are almost as many Republicans in Congress as there are Democrats. If Democrats are the problem, Republicans are not the answer. They have not been able to do anything to deal with the Democrat problem for the last 40 years. And if you think the other way around, Republicans are the problem. We just got to get these Republicans out of here. If Republicans were the problem, Democrats have been able to do absolutely nothing to stop, to deter, to get rid of the Republican problem. This two-party system may have at one point been created to bring about ideas and to push the country forward. But it has not done that in any way for the last 40, 50 years. It's done nothing. The country keeps slipping. Everyone who's poor keeps getting poor. Everyone who's richer keeps getting richer. There's corporations that are donating hundreds of thousands of dollars to these politicians. Follow the money. You want to talk, I don't care if it's Chuck Schumer, I don't care if it's Nancy Pelosi, I don't care if it's Kamala Harris, I don't care if it's Mitch McConnell, I don't care who it is. Follow the money. See who's been donating to their campaigns, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then see how those people, whether they're millionaires or billionaires, get lighter sentences. How businesses, the restrictions against businesses that are supposed to protect the poor or the poorer people, the middle class, keep getting lifted. How businesses keep getting away with polluting the air, polluting the land, polluting the atmosphere, polluting the water. Restrictions just keep getting lifted over and over again. Billionaires, millionaires suing the EPA. Greed has driven this country. And everyone's greedy, don't get me wrong. The person making $30,000, they're greedy. Okay? There's greed at all levels. Whether you're making $30,000 or $50,000 or $200,000 a year, it doesn't matter. There's greed everywhere. The issue is, the problem is, someone who makes $30,000, if they're a greedy person, their greed doesn't really make a difference because they don't have enough resources to help the poor anyway. I mean, if you're making $30K, you probably can pay your bills and maybe have $100 or $200 left at the end of the month or at the end of, all of your expenses. You got $200 of expendable income. What can you do with that? Next to nothing. Okay? Then you have billionaires, millionaires, CEOs getting $30 million deposited into their accounts at the end of the year for their hard work. And I'm not saying they don't work hard. I'm saying, is it $30 million of work? How many trips do they take to the golf course throughout the year? How many sick days do they have? How many times do they work an 8-hour shift? Yet they're making $30 million. And that person, after his expenses, if he lived a sensible lifestyle, would have $28 million in expendable income. I mean, who needs more than $2 million in any given year if you're living a sensible life? If you're not spending $10,000 a plate for food. These are the people that could be making a difference, who are turning their backs on America, who aren't investing in our infrastructure. Okay, these politicians are making $150,000 a year, minimum. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you're still making this. You think that elite Democrats and Democrats in general, I mean, there are some good politicians, AOC, Bernie Sanders, the Jordan guy, the Jordan person who just won. I can't remember, female, male. These people who are running on, no corporate PACs, no billionaire donations, and are trying to get big money out of politics. There are some people out there who are working, but do you think that these other career Republicans, Democrats care about you? They don't. Elite Democrats could care less whether Biden wins or whether Trump wins, because you know what? Either way, they keep their money. Either way, they're getting reelected, and that's all they care about, is staying in the game. That's all they care about. And for years and years, we've been paying billions of dollars to this government for them to push America forward in a direction, any direction. And all we've done is go around in circles. And at the end of the day, zero progress is made. All of our tax dollars are spent. We got a broken education system, 23rd in education. We got Medicare, our health insurance, our health system is complete garbage. We could hardly even react to COVID-19. We have the worst numbers in all the world, pretty much. Where's the money going? Who's solving the problems? The problem isn't Democrats and Republicans. The problem is the government and corporate greed.